Welcome to the Frontend Coffee Break, the podcast where we take a break, grab a cup of Joe, enjoy some beverage, and talk frontend. Chucho and I. Chucho, how are you?
Hello, Ricardo. All good here. Enjoying, as always, a decaf. Since it's not the first coffee of the day, it's decaf time. How
It's
about you?
excellent. Not drinking anything. I'm like a camel. I don't know. Dry season, but yeah, this is episode 52, coffee or no coffee. We want to talk about the level up of the amateur websites, the amateur developer, how
Oh,
in the past to make a website was very complicated and you had to have skills or it would look very, you know, very crude, very raw. And nowadays, maybe with different tools, it's way different. Let's see how you see it, how I see it, and let's discuss. So some more context. I remember I don't know, when I started my development career, I remember always coming across these websites that were done by amateurs, like people that would simply code on the weekends or people that would copy and paste this template here or use this site builder there. And really, they had no HTML skills, no CSS skills. They would just copy and paste everything, trying to drop jQuery, Backbone, and Bootstrap, everything in it, and try to more or less make something look like a website. And the results were always not great. Like you could see, right? And for me, it was always like, man, I'm a professional. I've learned all these things, like the basics, and I try to do handcraft my accessible, performant, responsive website. And it was always like, I don't know, complicated. Like people would approach me and they would ask me, hey, could you help me out with this website or do something like that? And I was like, I am very expensive. I don't know if you can afford me. Not to sound smart, but it was like they were expecting me to build a website for 100 euros or 200 euros. And I was like, more than like 3,000 euros or 5,000. And people would be taking it back and say, oh man, you're very expensive. And I was like, no, we take care of a lot of things. Like when you hire a non-professional, an amateur, you get what you pay for, right? And maybe nowadays it's changing.
maybe what?
Maybe
You know, would,
nowadays the
would
things are changing.
I don't think so. I think just that they're more efficient.
The garage developers are more efficient. Yes.
Yes.
Tell me more.
I mean, I lived the same thing as you. But I remember that doing websites back in the day, and I'm talking about 20 plus years ago, maybe 30 years ago, was not, although it wasn't that complex in the sense that there were simple enough rules to follow. HTML, CSS, well, CSS didn't exist. HTML wasn't that complicated. It was mostly like doing a sort of a complicated page. And I saw a lot of students, high school students that were doing it, that were learning about it. I met one of our colleagues, Cognizant Aesthetic. I met him back in college, and he had been working on doing websites for some time. But of course, they were super amateur. And with in the passing through the passing of time, websites have become this really complex thing because we are now in an age that websites or web pages can be even mirrored. You can have video games, very complex video games. You can have um, operative systems, web OSs, or things like this. I mean, it has become super, super, super complex. But um, I also remember when I started working that people were saying, hey, there's this guy that builds a website for a very low budget. Can you build it? It's like, well, I worked a lot of my ass off a lot to be a developer. That's too cheap. That's not worth my time and these kind of things. But within time, I realized that there's like a niche for these kind of websites, these kind of jobs. And I am not, although I could do them, this is not what I worked or the career that I wanted to build for myself. So um, I think that there is still a big space for this kind of works or jobs that are more amateurish, more jobs that are more simple. And I'm glad that there's always people that are happy to do it. And maybe they're not using the best practices, but they're making an effort. And maybe they're just doing enough for what the use case is. They build a website just good enough for what they want it to be built, or they build a website that is equivalent to the price that the people are paying.
But don't you think that maybe these roles are like disappearing? Like you have nowadays WordPress that powers, I think it's 43% of the top websites, which is like almost half of
Mm,
the web. Then you can drop in a theme and then just change, drag and drop via the UI, and then you get a website. You get also like all the site builders with natural language. You get this no
mm.
code sort of things. And I wonder nowadays with Gen AI, Copilot, Claude, Cursor, whatever you're using nowadays, um, people that are not amateur, we're talking about people that have no code experience, can actually create cool interfaces, even web apps that work, right? Just using natural language. So I wonder if maybe now there's going to be a gap in between. You get the super, super low implementers who really don't know code. They just know how to use an AI. And then you get the seniors, us, who actually know all the stack inside out, and they can make use of AI as well, but doing complex integrations. So I don't know if maybe the middle tier, the people that were doing it by hand, or they had their own snippets and their own things to quickly build up these landing
Hmm.
pages that looked okay, but of course they were cheap because you had to spend maybe a few hours. If you are charging 300, you cannot spend
Yeah.
days, otherwise you lose money, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, maybe with Gen AI these people are they gone?
Screwed.
Or maybe do you think that maybe they're leveling up? Maybe those that are doing these amateur websites now with Gen AI can step up and actually compete with the professionals in other firms.
I think that either they step up and evolve with the new tools, or they will die. Because yes, they won't be. Um, if they stay doing it by hand, if they build it completely by hand, unless they have the process really, really, really well done, unless they're doing a very specific thing that they can do pretty quickly. Yeah, there's other people that maybe don't have their experience, like people that entry level, people that don't even maybe, I don't know, family members that really just want their small website and they can quickly do it and they can ask AI to do it. Maybe, yeah, they will become obsolete if these people, if they don't learn how to use the new tools to be more efficient, so that instead of having hours or spending days in one website, maybe they can just do a few hours um, and build the same website for the same price. I think that with generative AI, and in general terms, this is a tool that should be used at all levels, and everyone that's not going to use them, they're going to be they have the problem that they might become obsolete or not as efficient as they could, and other people that are starting to use these tools, they're going to become more efficient, and you have to step up your game every level for everyone. But I also think that each one of these three that you described, they are very different niches. And the guy that doesn't do web development and doesn't know how to do it, they can't compete with people that are doing enterprise level websites or enterprise level applications. They cannot, because they cannot offer the security that these people can, like not only performance wise, but also that it really follows accessibility rules. Not only that, if the client is doing something that makes no sense, they won't be able to tell the client like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of things that enterprise level developers do that amateur developers don't do, but they work on different types of websites. And the ones that go in the middle as well, they cover a different use case. Maybe they're not doing that well professional website, but they're definitely doing something more than just an amateur page. At least that's the way that I see it. How about you?
Yeah. What about like the middle tier? Let's say, okay, you're the middle tier developer who used to do this websites very simple. Now with Gen AI, you're leveling up. I cannot help but ask, are we also in trouble? Like we seniors, are we in trouble that maybe these mid developers with Gen AI can compete on our expertise? And definitely, like, the question is, can they take our jobs, or are we losing our jobs if junior developers or low skilled developers can deliver these amazing UIs that seem to work? We don't know if they're accessible, if performing, but at least for the client that doesn't know, it looks very good. So I wonder if then us are gonna also become obsolete, saying, "Hey, you are charging me too much," and then this person does it in a quarter of the time. It costs half of the price or a third of the price. What's going on?
I think we should ask ourselves, what do we offer that they don't?
Okay.
Because if the answer is nothing,
Ha.
then yeah, you're screwed. if you don't offer anything that other developers, and I'm I don't want to separate it in like better or worse. It's a different type of development that you're doing. It's not the same thing working with one type of websites and enterprise level and blah blah blah. So it's like not that we're better or worse or levels or no, but it's like a different area or different niche. If we cannot say, oh, because we offer this, that they don't, then yeah, they deserve taking our jobs. So it's like you have to think about what do I offer to the client that they cannot get from other people. And potentially it could be, I don't know, knowing that there's going to be, for example, accountability. If the website has a problem, who's accountable for fixing that problem? Maybe these people are not that used to being accountable because they don't know exactly what this potential problem, where it comes from. They're going to take a lot of time to try to actually fix it because it's a little bit of an art sometimes to try to figure out why a bug is there.
Oh, yes.
So, for example, this could be one of the things. And the other thing is that if they can do it so fast, so can we. And this is the most important thing, is like anything that any of these levels can do, the other level can do as well. We have the same tools. So if you tell me that your cousin that has a month of went to a boot camp can deliver websites that rival the ones that you can do, it's like you're either terrible or you're not using the same tools as they are.
But you see, okay, sure. But I think when you deliver a greenfield project, you ask
Mm.
the Gen AI, your Claude Copilot to build application to do that, whatever. I think your level of like how to say it, like your bar, your high expectations will force you to make it better, to actually look into the code and say, oh, this is not performant, this is a security issue, this is not accessible, while your cousin or whomever is going to deliver the app as is. And you said, who's to blame for a bug? The AI is to blame because they just they byte coded the application without knowing what's actually shipping to production. And you, in contrary,
Who's going to
you would
fix
look at
it?
it and you would spend more time, and of course you'll be more expensive because you're offering a different thing, right?
You know, I think that I don't remember the exact number, but more than 60% of the time of the life cycle of an app is maintenance.
Bug
Developing
hunting.
even a website or any app, most of the development you do is maintenance. It's not creating it.
Mm.
And this is something that as and support. And I think that, for example, let's go for someone that has very low level, or they're doing very just vibe coding. Sometimes it's going to be easier for them to just throw everything away and start
Yes,
over from the
yes.
scratch. The problem of that is that potentially the website won't look exactly the same. So there's this. I think, and this is something I'm a little bit scared, but this is something that we have to think about and be really sure that this is what we can offer as professional developers that others non so professional can't offer. It's like, what are the things that I can do that others can do, and does this give value to the client or not? And I think that right now one of the things that we can offer is this: the accountability of, oh, this is messed up, or you need a new development that might be complicated to integrate. Well, I can do the new development and integrate it to what we already have, because sometimes the client says, oh, I don't like the way that this works, I want to change only this very specific part, and it's super hard to change that. And this kind of use cases is like, as a professional developer, you will be able to do them. I'm not saying that others won't be able to do complicated stuff as well, but it depends of the type of development that you do. I think, just based on experience, vibe coding is a little bit easier to just throw everything away and start from scratch. And still, if you want to do good vibe coding, you still need skills. It's not something that just anyone can do well. Anyone can do it, but not everyone can do it well. So you also need a little bit of an expertise on that side. I In any case, what I say is that you have to know what you offer to the client that others don't, and that's basically your selling point.
I want to say that you started the episode very confident, and I like how you said that you're now scared. So I like how
I
you,
am.
when as we discuss, you like discover your fears on AI. But can I tell you some two examples I did with vibe coding? Now that we're talking about
Let's
vibe coding,
please, please, please.
as you said before, I think Greenfield is the go-to for vibe coding
Mhm.
and Gen AI. I mean, it works wonders when you have just an empty folder and you ask it, bootstrap everything for me. I mean, it works. It's fantastic, right? It depends on your prompt, but nowadays with Claude Sonnet and this thing, they're super powerful, man. These models, I like it. So I had to do. The client was asking me, "Hey, I want to know where are we using these components on my website in the repository?" But it's not easy because there's like web components or elements. So how do you actually create a script that scans the entire code base and then looks for these components and where not only where defined but where they used, where they included in our files? Like a priori, it feels very complicated task. Like, do you use Node? Do you use some Python? Do you use Bash? What do you use? And then you have to learn about how to read directories, a file system, to do recursive searches, to regex, of course, because you need to find these sort of strings. And then when you find the string, understand that, okay, this is an import because it's a module. Okay, then where in the other files am I importing this complicated stuff? And vibe coding, it took me maybe 2 or 3 hours, and I got the script working. Like 400
Mm,
lines of Node.js that I would
wow.
have taken me days. And actually looking at documentation and trying to figure out, okay, I don't know how to, I don't know, yeah, open this file, open this folder, these things, go back to the Node documentation and do it. With vibe coding, man, it was, 2 hours, and the script generates a beautiful report, beautiful output on, these components are here, used in these files. So yeah, definitely. And then I saw a productivity gain immense. But now, if I compare it to my productivity gains on legacy big integrations, code that's already existing, that's very, very small.
Interesting. I mean, this is one of the I think the new areas that need to be definitely explored with coding, vibe coding, which is the possibility that anyone can create, uh, can do software, vibe coding, and software that could be useful based on an idea. The skills that you now need are more on the ability of actually structuring your brain and being able to describe what you want. And it's very interesting because I think that the mindset, the kind of mind that you need when you're a developer, a very logical mind, is the same one that you need. And this is just based on my observations. Is it seems to be the same one that you need as a vibe coder, let's say, or an AI coder, because you need to be able to create precise instructions or very close to precise instructions. The better that you create the instructions, the better that the end result is going to be. If you cannot do this, if you cannot structure your brain into the idea of what you want, it's going to be harder to achieve the goal that you wanted to achieve.
Mm,
And
yeah.
of course, I think that knowing a bit of technology, knowing how things work, knowing that you can have, I'm just going to say this, to throw this out there, recursive searching or whatever, knowing that that exists and that's a possibility, you can actually ask for that because you know that it's going to be more efficient. I mean, you still need a little bit of technical, no, technical knowledge will help
Yes.
you out to be a little bit better.
Absolutely. I think
What?
a junior would
Mm,
have taken more time to do this. And when I saw the output, I started to ask it to iterate on it. Like I saw, for instance, that the code was being repeated, and I say, "Hey, look at this part. You're repeating it. Can you please create a util function to do that?" And then refactor it. Then I looked at there was no JS doc on the functions. I said, "Please, can you document all the functions with the JS doc?" And then boom. So it was actually my knowledge on how to do web development that helped create the final output, and because otherwise the first iteration was very rough, was repeating code, and the strings were not like using configurations or variables. It was all hard coded, right? So actually it was not ready for production. So you need a senior developer or a seasoned developer to actually look at the output and say, hey, I want to do this, I want to use this best practice, I want to blah blah blah, what you were saying before. So yeah. um
it's interesting how now we are starting to move in one direction, which is, hey, a lot of it's. I love this the term when they say democratization of.
yeah.
I've heard democratization of development, democratization of image creation, democratization of whatever the heck AI can do. And in a way, yeah, it's true. Now you are making this more accessible. Let's put aside all the moral implications and ethical implications regarding using AI. We're not discussing that right now. Um, but it's interesting how you can make more um, approachable, no, that accessible. You can make this more accessible to many people, but that includes also to not only you are making this accessible to people that don't have that a lot of experience or that have a different professional background, but you're also making it more accessible to us as developers. This is, as I say, this is a tool that we all have access to, and in the end, it's going to be how you learn how to use it. And I'm always happy to welcome more developers, web developers, even if it's their AI code vibe coding developers to the flock, especially if they're doing a good job. If they're interested in doing a good job, yeah, welcome, and let's try to build a better front end and web together. Um, I I'm looking. I was talking to one of our project managers the other day, and they were telling me a little bit about the work that they were doing with vibe coding, that they wanted to do a few proof of concepts and a few things to go from one place to another using AI. And it was very interesting what they were telling me. They were saying, "Oh, I tried this, blah blah blah. I went here. It took me a couple of months, but I managed to do this." And what they did sound really, really, really interesting, and it was something that I would expect a high level developer to sort of work on. But he did it, and it's something that seems to that it's going to be useful. And he said, if I can do it, anyone can do it. And it was very nice, very interesting. That comes to show that if you have the dedication, the motivation, you can achieve great stuff. And I think that the interesting thing is that if you see people that are not developers that are doing these things, that are using these tools to create these fantastic things, and you're not doing it, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for to improve the work that you do? It's like, at least in the end, I think that these kind of tools are not here to replace us, but they're here to make us work better and also to bring a new generation of different
You said
type
it.
of developers.
I didn't want to go there, but you opened the can. So now I will ask you. I was watching this, listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he invited Elon Musk, I think, last week.
Mm.
And one of the sentences that struck to me, Elon is very inflammatory or very flame war. He said that in 5 years there will be no coders. And now it's funny because you're welcoming a new flock of developers into our web community, global community. But then they have these CEOs of big companies saying, "Yeah, coders are gone, are dead. In 5 years, no code will be written by a human." So,
W-
do you need coders
What?
anymore?
Well, they said 10 years ago, think they said that in 5 years, no radiologists would be needed because AI would make their work obsolete. And right now, if I'm not mistaken, more radiologists are needed more than ever
The irony.
because yeah, and the reason is because the tools have made their work more efficient. Now they can actually do more. And now they can concentrate on things that the AI tool doesn't do because the AI tool can help on that diagnosis, but they still have to inform the people, determine which is going to be the best treatment, actually maybe even do the treatment. I don't know. There's a lot of other things that they can now concentrate in. And they're seeing like, oh, we can have, they can be very productive and we have a lot of work. We need more. And with the coders is like maybe in 5 years, coders as we know them today might be obsolete or might not exist, but something new that is the equivalent will be there. And one thing that I've also thought about is they are talking like AI is going to be around or it's going to be feasible in the next 5 years. And just looking at how not an economist, but looking at the bubble that is being created around AI, the amount of debt and money that is put in there, I wouldn't be surprised that it's not going to be that feasible to have to make AI this accessible to everyone. So maybe we won't have coders as we know them now, but definitely we're going to have developers that maybe they don't do that much code, but they're going to be. I think you still need developers. Or you need the person that is going to tell the tool how to create or what to create or how to update or we're still going to need
I don't know.
experts.
Is a developer? Is a prompt engineer? Is a project manager who can, as your example before, the project manager that can do vibe coding and it is good enough? I don't know. I mean, you're an optimist, and I like it, and I would very much prefer that we keep our jobs for 5 more years. But yeah, it's hard to predict. Nobody knows. Everything changes so fast, and who knows? 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. I mean, we have a long time before we can retire. So so I don't know how my work is gonna look like in 20 years. Interesting.
but I think that there's so many factors that will determine how work will look for developers in the future.
Yeah.
And not only about the tools that are going to be available, but also how they're going to be is the kind of requirements that we're going to have. I don't know. What I do know is that, or at least what I think it's going to be, is like developers, as I said, developers as we are going to be needed, because there's people that are going to be that are still going to be required to do certain tasks. Um, Maybe the demand of coders, as you say, web developers is going to go lower, but I think you will still need people. Well, my question is, in 5 years, 5 years, who is going to maintain the code of a lot of the websites out there? For example, are they going to scrap it all and just invest a lot of money to do it with AI from scratch? Or are they going to maintain it while they slowly roll them out? I don't know. I think, and well, this is just a little bit of positive thinking. I think that I think it was Amazon was proud to say that they've started to work on, I don't know, 50% or a lot of percent of the code written by AI. And then a couple of weeks ago, they had this issue with the servers going down, and they haven't said, or at least until now, they haven't said what happened when they usually do. So you have to wonder what really happened. Or in Microsoft, they were also saying, "Oh yeah, we're doing this amount of code in AI," and then an AI
Yeah, have a good one.
broke.
Bye
I
bye.
remember if it was Windows, so they broke it because nobody was checking. Maybe these kind of things won't happen as much in the future. But what I'm saying is that right now we're not ready to do a full change. I don't
And with that positive thinking, thank you, Chucho, for giving us a future. Yes, we want to continue working. Thank you so much.
know.
We
Yes.
can close today's episode. Chucho, thank you for your coffee.
Glad as always.
And we'll see you all next time. Bye bye.
Bye.